This podcast is a B-Side Collections production.
Fertility ain't fair.
That's right.
So let's talk about it. Real, raw, unfiltered, with me, your friend in fertility.
So welcome back to Fertility Ain't Fair. I am your host, Britt, and if you are new, as always, you are welcome into our space. We're so glad to have you, and if you're returning, well, you already know what happens up in here. So welcome back. On this episode, we are talking to Kenda Sutton-EL, who is the Executive Director of Birth and Color RVA and Ambrosia Food for Thought. And we are really all about normalizing the conversations around reproductive and maternal justice, community-based doulas, and how to create your individual birth story. She is going to drop some gems, give you some facts, some things you may have never even heard before, because I was just over here taking notes like, what is this, and that? Kenda is many, many things, but she has a couple of things that I'll highlight. She's a doula trainer, an equity, diversity, and inclusion consultant, a policy analyst, a CPR instructor, a holistic nutritionalist, a certified lactation counselor, a reproductive justice and maternal health advocate, etc., etc., etc. And she operates her amazing businesses right here in Richmond, Virginia. So she is local to me. So happy to have her. Today is actually World Doula Day, if you did not know. And actually kicking off World Doula Week. So we have an amazing woman hopping in. It's still Women's History Month. And so she is going to talk to us about what it feels like to really create your own birth story, and also what it means to have culturally competent care. Say that 3 times. I won't try. But yes, hopping in today is Miss Kenda Sutton-EL, and we are talking all things birth and color RVA. So let's get into it. Hey, Kenda, welcome to Fertility Ain't Fair. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you so much for agreeing to hop on and do lots of educating, because I will be honest, I went through the website and I have lots of questions. And so I'm hoping that we're able to cover all these things and help me out, but also help out our listeners as well. So before we hop into all things birth and color and Ambrosia Food for Thought, I want to ask you a question that I ask all of my guests, and it is, how do you define yourself? What are the words or phrases that you use to describe Kenda?
Oh, that's a tough question. I would say passionate, advocate, and a mom. I'm very particular about what I sign up for and what I put my name on. And then also, I'm a boundary setter.
People need that more in life. Were you always able, as a side question, to set boundaries, or was it a learned behavior?
It was a learned behavior, because when you give much of yourself, and it starts to trickle down into the other aspects of your life that you're also passionate about, you'll start to say, okay, something to give, and setting those boundaries allows you to do all of what you want to do effectively.
And right there, we already have a bullet point. No, I like that, and I appreciate that. So I was, jumping right into, as you mentioned, doing things that you're passionate about and being very selective. Obviously, you have 2 amazing businesses. And so I'm going to start on the Birth and Color RVA side.
Okay.
So immediately, on the homepage, I noticed that you talk about linking maternal justice to reproductive justice. So can you, define for us what those 2 terms mean, independently, and then kind of how does your work fit into each of those things in terms of your advocacy and what you do in your work every single day?
Sure. So what maternal justice and reproductive justice are actually one of the same. They're separated because the world separates them, but you can't have a great birth outcome without great reproductive health. Until we can get to, as a world, stating that the same, then we're always in the same fight. So ideally, they're both culturally sensitive care. Like it's all about rights, social, political, and economic inequalities that affect each other, especially when it comes to anything reproductive, anything birth.
So you mentioned culturally sensitive rights. So hop in there for a second and kind of tell us like what that means to you and what that means kind of in terms of, again, what you do on a daily basis.
So when you're dealing with mental health and reproductive health, you always do attack it by the culture of the person, because
Mm-hmm.
each culture does something different. Instead of creating a bias because they do something different, it's a learning opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
You need to learn about different cultures and learn why they do the things that they actually do. And critique your own care to provide the best health care to all of those individuals.
Yeah, and so I mean, I know how important representation is, when we're talking about maternal reproductive health. So, how does someone even go about, I guess, finding that type of resource? How does someone say, I want that, I'm looking for that? Because I just feel like it's not really discussed often.
It's not discussed often. There's a lot of different organizations. I know we specialize in making sure that we're creating that framework so that people can learn. We
Hmm.
teach a racial bias training also within our organization to different healthcare providers, so they can learn how to create a different birth story for the clients that they're actually seeing.
Hmm.
And then also simply asking. No one has ever been upset about you asking about their culture or asking how to whatever different information you're looking for. You can always go to the historians at a library and always give you great books and encyclopedias to read that actually have this information in them.
Okay. And then I guess from your perspective, I know you're a mom, and so did you feel like these things were available to you during your maternal health journey? And then, what led you to say, I definitely want to, pursue this path, in my career as well?
So my whole entire family comes from healthcare
Mhm.
field, so my birth story is definitely different, especially when you grow up with people that's doing that same fight. So I've
Mhm.
always been taught about, my rights as far as having childbirth and like participating with my family, helping other moms. So I've always
Mhm.
been on that advocacy side, even really didn't want to. So how I got into this work is I've always been a doula, because my friends have births, and I always wanted to be a part of that because of my family background.
Mhm.
And Color started was because the maternal mortality rates were extremely high for Black women. Black
Mhm.
women are 3 times more likely to die than white women. What we wanted to create was something collectively where people can find people who look like them to help them during this whole process, giving them childbirth education, giving them their rights, um, making sure that they're really, really prepared, showing them advocate for themselves. Everyone is an advocate. Just have to dig deep down inside and pull that out. And so that's how we actually started the Birth in Color.
That's amazing. You mentioned the maternal health stats for Black women in particular, and I was definitely going to ask that. And so, why do you feel? I mean, I've heard, different things and I've read different things. And while I have not yet, conceived and given birth in my body yet, it's a fear, right? And so, what are the reasons, or what are some of the main reasons you feel like that stat is so high and remains so high even now when there are resources out there, and it's 2021, we have all this science technology, like why is that still the way it is?
So it's still the way it is, fun because of racism.
Hmm.
Structural racism is within the healthcare center. 68% of these deaths are preventable, and
Mm.
so a lot of people won't admit that it is structural racism, but when you look at how the healthcare system was built, it was built on the backs of people of color. So it was never created to actually give us a fighting chance. So until everyone can agree that these healthcare systems needs to change their framework, that community-based organizations needs to be the foundation, then the rates will never truly go down. We have did great success at implementing doulas, and I know that that's trickling around the state where doulas are being reimbursed as we speak, especially in the state of Virginia. It'll start in 2022. And so that's one key, is because they have someone who's going to advocate for them in that space, and they're also going to feel empowered by having someone that's holding their hand, having someone who's the constant factor with this process.
Yeah. And I know, going into the next question in terms of the doula. So in my mind, I always thought a doula was just kind of like, there to like give you moral support, like, day of. But being a doula is much more than that. So talk to us about, I know you mentioned on your site, they're called birth workers or community-based doulas. So can you tell us a little about what those terms mean, and, what you all, I guess, do in terms of what, your doula's services are provided? Because I know it's more than just, holding your hand and and say, hey, girl, it's going to be okay. It's more than that. So
yes,
what
it is
is,
definitely,
yeah.
more than that. A lot of people, like, they'll say, oh, I'm a birth doula, or I'm a postpartum doula. And that's why we say that we are community-based doulas. And so we're providing a case management care system. So what happens is we provide evidence-based information. If something is happening within that pregnant person that the doctor has said, oh, hey, you have this, and it hasn't been thoroughly explained, we have additional questions. And so doula is actually the person who's providing emotional, physical, and spiritual support the entire time. So the doula is the only constant factor within the childbirth process. So when the doctor is not always on call, that you've been seeing this whole entire time, not doing what the provider does, but you have a familiar face in case something does happen.
Right.
Or a familiar face that's providing you that support and cheering you on. And then also sometimes you have like babies typically turn, or you haven't progressed, and things like that. A doula can help with birth interventions, like putting you on the birthing ball, using the peanut ball. The doula provides all of that support.
So it really is I guess, a during, and you also mentioned postpartum. So you're able to really carry this person along like the entire journey if you wanted to.
Yes, definitely. We definitely provide that great postpartum support. You have the lactation specialists that aren't always doulas, but we're helping to like make sure you know how to breastfeed and all of that. It's definitely a nice journey to have someone with you to make sure that you have the support, especially when it comes to breastfeeding, because it's, you see the glitz and the glamour through pictures, but it's a difficult process. Never done it before.
And I know, like, so I know at the hospital, they have someone that kind of, tries to help you, of course, when you're in there, but I mean, you leave like quickly after usually. So this lactation specialist could be someone separate, of the doula, who's going to help you kind of through. How long would they be around? Like, is it the first like couple of weeks, or like, is it to kind of depend on the person?
It depends on the person and what type of package they've signed up for. It's always different based upon the person and their need. Some people need more, some people need less.
And then, if you are, so you do conceive. And so at what point, like, would you advise someone or suggest to someone, if they've reached out to you to, I guess, engage a doula? Like, how early is too early? Like, do you call, right when you conceive? Do you wait till you make it through the first trimester? Like, when should you engage a doula service, for example?
Well, everyone is different. So sometimes you a doula early, especially if you experience any type of pregnancy loss, just to have that support and to not feel so anxious during that process. So it all just really depends on the person. Some people, as soon as they're pregnant, they start putting their birth team together. Some people wait until they're in the second trimester to make sure that they're putting their birth team together. So it always just depends on the person and their actual need.
Yeah. Okay. That's good information. It's just it's so many different facets to this. And I talk a lot on the other episodes, about growing up, number one, you think getting pregnant is easy. You're kind of taught that it's simple, it's easy, it's nature's way. And so you don't even really think twice about it until you're forced to. And so being in my shoes of still being the place where I am trying to conceive and I'm going through different steps with the fertility clinic and all of that, it's just so much more to the process. And then, once you do, prayerfully conceive, getting to a full term pregnancy is also not easy. And, all of these things that I'm learning along the way, like what you're talking about, are just really helpful to know now, because once you get into it, you may not have these resources or you may not know where to turn. And so thank you for kind of breaking all of that down, because I was like, what do they do? Like, I'm thinking, they're really just there the day of, and that's kind of like, that's it. But it's not that. So
Right, exactly. And I definitely agree with you on the actual conception, because some people contact their doulas prior to conception and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do, I'm working on it, and try to get feedback that way also. And so that's not really talked about, because people don't really talk about infertility or in trying to get pregnant as much as they should.
Yeah. And that's why we're here. So something else that I saw on your site was hypnobirthing. So what is that? Because in my mind, all I envisioned was, I envisioned being in either your home or, in bed at the hospital, full birth happening, and like you're being hypnotized. So like, what is hypnobirthing? And kind of break that down for all of us who may not know what that term means.
So hypnobirths focus a lot on positive words. It's focused on meditation, breathing, and kind of like a hypnosis, like taking yourself from outside of your body to think about and focus on other things. And so that helps you to get through the natural birth process, or even the birthing process at all in general. It's all about birth affirmations and empowerment.
Okay, I'm all for that. Okay, so it's not what I thought at all. I was like, wait, can I get hypnotized so I don't feel anything eventually? Like, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, no. Someone needs to create that though.
Yeah, right. That's okay. I mean, I'm all for. I am a affirmations girl. I am a meditation girl. So I like that. That's really amazing, actually. And I mean, I know you can probably do it, you could do it on your own, but like to have someone teach you that, or to walk through the steps to create, as part of your birthing plan, this space of, like I said, coming out of your body, affirming certain things and meditating over it so that it is more, I don't know, palatable, or maybe it helps you get rid of your fear. Because I mean, I don't know many women who have not been afraid of childbirth. So,
yes. So actually, it does help you get rid of your fear.
Yeah.
It's a actual class. You get to work with it. I recommend it to all of my clients. Nice, successful natural births with no medication.
Wow.
And this is like one of the requirements to say, hey, I need you to take this class because I need you to be thinking on this level and keeping up with positive energy during that childbirth process.
That's like birth therapy. That is amazing.
Yes.
That's super. I have like a little story. That's super intriguing. Okay, notes back in my head. When things happen, I need to also contact you personally and get that going. I love that. So kind of going into this birth and color RVA, but also Ambrosia food for thought, you being a holistic nutritionalist. So I guess what's your philosophy when it comes to nutrition counseling and maternal health and kind of how do you meld those things together to really create a really strong holistic approach for pregnancy?
So with my holistic approach is just that. Like, I think you should be eating healthy during your pregnancy. I know people joke around and say I'm eating for two, but you should not literally eat for two, especially if you're not eating right. Making sure that you're eating the proper nutritious food, especially if you're going to breastfeed, and then also your focus should be on the development of your baby.
Right. Yeah. And so how do you work with women? I know you work with women who are pregnant and not pregnant, of course, but how do you work with the moms to be when it comes to creating this plan? Is it also a class? Is it creating these different healthy recipe plans? Like what do you all do to make it more of a lifestyle change and not just maybe a temporary situation for the baby?
So what we do, I do classes. I will do a meal plan with them if that's what they're asking for. And I will sometimes show them how to properly fix the foods that are healthy but still taste good. Because that matters too, because people be like, oh, it's healthy, it's going to taste horrible. That is
Right.
not true. You can eat healthy and have
No,
it taste good. You can season
absolutely.
your food with things other than salt
Hmm.
to give it great flavor.
Amen. Absolutely. And do you feel like, I mean, I'm sure you do, but kind of looking at the whole approach. So when you're looking at a healthy pregnancy, of course you have nutrition aspect, I'm sure you have physical health as well. And then you have these other things that you're doing, like a hypnobirthing that's taking care of your mental. So do you feel that all of those things when combined, your clients are like, wow, like this exceeded my expectations in terms of what I thought my birth was going to be or how I recovered afterwards. Like kind of what's the afterthoughts from your clients when it comes to doing all of these things?
For my clients, like their recommendation is always high.
Hmm.
I have video footage of their after story, and they've always I never knew that that's what I needed. And even
Hmm.
the partners, the families, there's like, hey, this was such a great benefit. I'm referring everyone to you, because people don't talk about the great benefits enough, and how we don't only support the pregnant person, support
Right.
the whole entire family and make sure everybody's equipped with what they need um, during the childbirth process and after the childbirth process.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean,
And we even
yeah,
have providers that recommend the program, that say this is great. I feel like everyone should do it this way.
I love the support in the whole family, if it's whoever's in the household or whoever's in the support system, because as you mentioned, like it's not just the mother going through all these things, right? There are other people in that household. There's a spouse, there's grandma, there's other kids, there's usually somebody else in that household. And so as you mentioned, supporting the entire family is really important because that's who they're going to lean on. That's their support system. And so when they're having tough days or whatever else, if they are also trained on how to cope and handle and support, I mean, what more could you ask for? Like, it's like the ideal, like everything you've mentioned so far is like really like the ideal scenario. And it can be done because you're doing it every single day at your businesses. So it's not impossible to create this amazing scenario to have a positive experience during a difficult time. Exciting, but difficult time.
Right, exactly. And so giving people a little encouragement and allowing them to empower themselves is always important, because everyone has empowerment in them. They just need to find it and need assistance on, coaching them through.
Yeah, no, I love it. This has all been amazing. And so in terms of kind of summarizing everything, what would be your advice for those who are either looking to become pregnant, currently pregnant, or, that are really needing or wanting great maternal care? What advice would you give them?
So for the ones that are looking to become pregnant and that are experiencing fertility issues, I would always suggest looking to holistic methods also, because there are some great infertility physicians that will tell you, okay, let's go back to your plate. What are you actually eating? What are you putting on your skin? All of that actually matters with fertility, and people don't understand it. For the people who are currently pregnant and looking for support, definitely reach out to a doula. Even if you can't, in your mind, you think you can't afford a doula, there are some doulas out there that do a certain amount of free births a year, different resources to provide you with. And then at any point, if you don't feel comfortable with your provider, then you can always switch to a provider who's going to definitely take care of you, definitely listen to you, because they're out here. I know that you hear a lot about, oh, providers are bad, but not all providers are bad.
And I made a note, like I just feel like I might have to reach back out to you, because the whole infertility and holistic approach is big. And as you mentioned, not always discuss, as you said, things that you use on your hair, on your skin, on your body, of course, what foods you eat. But I know it's out there, and I've done my own research. I bought books, but I feel like there's still a conversation to have, like in terms of how all of these different things externally and internally can affect fertility, because the fact that infertility rates continue to rise.
Yes.
So there's clearly a connection, and there's clearly, a concern. I mean, I'm dealing with it firsthand, obviously, so I'm much more invested, but I think it needs to be a conversation so that, the next generations prayerfully are able to hopefully curb this statistic of dropping fertility rates, which is alarming. So I feel like I might need to have you come back again and do a whole talk on that. But anyway, that's its own topic. That's a whole separate conversation. But so tell us, how can you be reached? What are web and social? Please plug all of your brands and your businesses.
Okay, on all social media platforms, I am Kenda Sutton-EL. For Ambrosia Food for Thought, it's at Ambrosia Food for Thought on all social media platforms, and Birth and Color RVA on all social media platforms as well.
Awesome. Well, I just thank you. Thank you so much for breaking down a lot of these different terms, and for doing the work that you do, and for walking and working in your passion. It's much appreciated. And I know that you are literally changing lives every single day. And I look forward to just staying in contact, and also hopefully being able to reach back out to you all when it is, my time. So thank you so much for your time today, though. So did she deliver, or did she deliver? Because for me, she did. So thank you again, Kenda, for hopping in. Thank you to Birth and Color RVA and Ambrosia Food for Thought. Make sure you check out all of her services online, on social media. As you can tell, she's very, very passionate about what she does and who she does it for. Her why is baked into everything that she does every single day. So if you're looking for services, if you have questions about it, reach out to her. She's an amazing wealth of knowledge, but also family to fertility ain't fair now. So, hit her up, tell you heard us on the show, and see what she can do for you. So, key takeaways for me. Number one, find yourself culturally sensitive care that understands what you need, who you are, and what you're looking for. That's number one. Find the best care for you. Like all of these things that we're talking about on this show, whether it's reproductive health or maternal health or women's health, it's all complicated, and it's fragile, and it's delicate. And so you deserve the very, very best when trying to figure out what is best for you and your body. Okay. Number two, doulas are dope. Yes. Pre, during, and post pregnancy, reach out to them. give them a shot, see if it works for, you, your lifestyle, what you're looking for in your birth story. And that leads me into number 3, like create your own birth team. When she kept saying birth team, I was like, look, it's like creating your own board of directors at work. It's like creating your own, like all-star lineup, right? Like this is like your coaching team to like bring this baby into this world and keep you together and healthy and sane and all those things. So create your own birth team. And then nutrition to support whatever you have going on. So if it's pre-pregnancy, trying to conceive, if it's during or after, like nutrition is key. We all know that, but seriously, take it, like whatever you're putting into your body, on your body, and your hair, take it seriously, get the good products. And those are my key takeaways from Miss Kenda Sutton-EL. So, a couple things. Make sure you check out Amazon for our Fertility Ain't Fair journal, number 1. Number 2, if you have not already checked out Sayana Fit on Instagram or on the web, you are missing out. Go ahead and go to their website, sayanafit.com, SIYANA fit.com. Leggings, sweatsuits, comfy bras, etc., etc. I'm wearing mine right now. I'm feeling good in my seat. So check her out and her amazing fashions out. It's time to support women, businesses, support women of color year round, but definitely in March. So get on into it. What else do I have for you? Okay, follow us on social media, as you already know, at Fertility Ain't Fair on everything. And I think that's all I have. I mean, I've given a lot today, I feel like, but Kenda gave most of it. So I'm just happy to be here. So until next time, I am your forever friend in fertility. Stay hopeful.